Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, and today we are doing something special. We are actually restreaming not only here on Facebook Live, we're restreaming on YouTube Live, and we're restreaming on Periscope. So if you want to have a great show, a great time, you can be anywhere on any platform, and we are now there, and we are going to be adding some other platforms as well, Twitch, etc., 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 etc. But folks, if you're just joining us, please do what we always ask you to do, what we always implore you to do. Please go ahead right away and share this program. Please share this program on your Facebook wall, your Facebook page, on your Twitter, your Tumblr, your Yellow Man, Snapchat, that is, Instagram, everywhere. Note that we also take snippets out of this show and put it on Instagram TV, so you can actually get some interesting parts of the show played there as well. It is important. Next year, 2019, we're going to have some new things coming along. We are really going to make this worth your while, because you know what, folks, we are going to be the ones that make the difference. It's not going to be the local, it's not going to be your mainstream media that's going to be out there telling folks exactly what's going on in the world. Yes, they have their part to play, but they also have their loyalties as it comes to Politics Done Right and these other independent progressive media types, progressive media shows, progressive media programs. We are here to serve whom? Those who are supporting us. That is you. Before we get into the program, I have to make my quick pitch real quickly, and then we're going to get directly into the program, my friends. Please remember, this is a progressive show that does need your support. We need your support as soon as you can. Please go to patreon.com, patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Again, that is patreon.com, patreon.com/Politics Done Right, and support us, or go to our page, politicsdoneright.com, and click on that PayPal button or click on that Patreon button. That's it for now. Till later on, I'm going to come back and say, folks, if we want to make a difference, if we want to ensure that our message gets out there, then we have to be willing to do what the right does. We have to be willing to go ahead and say, we are going to make sure that you can be, one, our mouthpiece, two, one of our information sources. And notice I said one of our information sources, because we are not like the other side. We don't want one information source. We want things corroborative. We want to ensure that everybody out there has multiple sources of information, so that they can use their own brains, their own intelligence to say, Politics Done Right got it right. The Majority Report got it right. Are they in conflict? Why are they in conflict? Let's get them together. Let's get them together and see exactly why they're in conflict and what's wrong. Folks, also, please do remember, this is a call-in show. You can give us a call at any time. In fact, you can change the direction of this program by calling us. 646-716-5812. Telephone lines are open. We can take 50 calls at one time. Again, that is 646-716-5812. Please be a part of the show. Please know this is your show, and not only is this your show, I have a program prepared. Okay? I have a program prepared, but like I tell everybody all the time, and you guys are going to see with some of the new things that we're going to have with video conferencing and so forth, where we can all see each other, talk to each other, and make sure that we form this community of ideas, and these ideas then get promoted out there. And in the promotion of those ideas, we even get more and more and more. But folks, you know what's the main thing that we want to do? We want to win. And when we say win, we won. Yes, we won 2016. We absolutely won 2016. But I tell you what, when we are talking democracy, when we are talking freedom, we have to make sure that we don't let somebody like this come along and take over and change what we ought to be, what we are, what we want to be. We want to make sure that we can stay together, that we can unite all of the times, that we can remember that our vote matters. Our vote matters. That we know that people out there, that we know out there that when we come together, when we protest together, when we do all the things we need to do together, then changes occur. Then we can make the difference. And today's program is a special program because it's not, some may look at it as a partisan program. I promise you, it is not a partisan program. And I want specifically to talk to my conservatives. I want specifically to talk to my good folk out there, my good Republicans, my good conservatives, even my good Trumpists out there. I want you to listen to what we're going to be talking about today, but I also want you to listen with the frame of mind, with knowing the intentions from the heart that I'm talking about, and know that I'm not talking about the good folk. I'm talking about the folk who are manipulating us all. And by the way, do not ever believe that I think somehow of the purity of one side over the other. Yes, right now, the Republican side, the conservative side is in dire straits. It's going through its lines, its levels of hypocrisy, severe hypocrisy. They all have their hypocrisy. It's going through a whole lot of things right now. And what I'm asking you folks to do is remember this. Remember this. We're in the same boat. We are all in this together. We are all in this together, and that is how we are going to make change. That is ultimately how we are going to make change. So, folks, what is the show's title today? The show's title today is, "It is time for Democrats to rebuild the Republican Party." Does that sound strange or what? That sounds really strange to a whole lot of people. It's time for the Democratic Party, the Democrats to rebuild the Republican Party? Okay. Here's a subtitle to kind of give you an idea of what I really want to talk about. Democrats must go on an all-out assault on the Republican leadership and destroy the party to establish a more ethical rebuilding. And what do I mean by that ethical rebuilding? What I really want to say about that is simple, right? What we have to do is we have to now come out. And we have to come out with all the hypocrisy, and we have to hit them hard. We can't play the normal democratic progressive game of turning the other cheek. We cannot sit back and say, oh, well, try to make somebody feel good on bad deeds. We just can't do that. We have to be out there. Not only do we have to be out there, we have to be ready to counterpunch, and not only counterpunch, but be on the lead. Because you know what? The reason the Republicans understand one important thing, and that is something known as wrong and strong. Wrong and strong mean you can be very, very wrong at something. But if you give that impression that you are right, if you give that impression that somehow you are in command, you're a leader, you're whatever, somehow what generally happens then is that people start to think that is real. They start to think that is what's going to happen. And then, with all the things that they do, with the denying of your vote, we can't let them do that. We can't ever let them take your vote away, because you guys have to do one important thing, and that is to make sure you vote. So, folks, let's remember that. And talking about nice, remember this little thing that I had out here, how they think about us. We can't forget how they think about us, and going forward, we have to remember how we need to do things. Anyhow, back to the back graphic of the donkey and the elephant. Anyhow, so the title of the show for those who are just joining, folks, I want to remind you guys to please go ahead and share this program on your Twitter, your Tumblr, your Facebook wall, Facebook page, Instagram, everywhere, because that is how we're going to make a difference. Anyhow, title of the show again is it is time for Democrats to rebuild the Republican Party. And the subtitle, Democrats must go on an all-out assault on the Republican leadership and destroy the party to establish a more ethical rebuilding. Look, folks, it may sound weird. That may sound weird. Why would the Democrats want to rebuild that party? It may sound weird. But our country needs help right now with the entire political party system. and we have a political party system. We cannot afford to have a damaged party. When I say a damaged party, I mean a crazy party. I mean a party that doesn't support facts, a party that cannot have a discussion on real issues, a party that cannot simply pull stuff out of the air, a party that cannot just create an invention of reality and then instantiate it with its followers. We can't continue to have that. That does not lend itself to a real democracy. A real democracy is a discussion of ideas, real ideas, not a discussion of fallacies, a discussion of things you pull out of the air, none of that. We actually need a discussion of real ideas. An idea isn't that climate change does not exist. An idea isn't that climate change is a hoax. Those aren't ideas, or that isn't the other side of the coin. That is not, hello, Michael Dean. Hello, Senor Kathleen Morgan. Hi, Senor Rutnan. And I don't have all the others, but I'll get all the others. I only could see those three pop up on the screen right there. But anyhow, so ideas mean real ideas, ideas that are fact-based, that are even if it's not 100% fact-based, that it is based on something, not just somebody pulling something out of the air. Right now, we have a Republican Party that is happy to simply follow the lead of their master, Donald Trump, who simply pull things out of the air. A lie is pulling stuff out of the air, saying that there are these border folks coming over with leprosy and tuberculosis and all these other things. Those are lies, and those are pulling things out of the air, and those are creating those are having folk vote against your own interest by you telling them things that are not fact-based and them thinking that the other party is supporting things that are going to hurt them. It means they're going to vote for you out of fear, not out of what is best in their best interest, not what's going to work best for them. We have to have a party of ideas. And, you know, some may not want to accept this, but I am, as much as I am a left-wing progressive, liberal, whatever you want to call me, I know deep down there has always been good Republicans, and the Democrats don't have like a stellar history that they can somehow feel they have some superior mantra to Republicans. After all, the parties have switched their loyalties. The parties have switched their values. We have to remember that the Democratic Party once was the party of racists, and the Republican Party was a big help in ensuring that we got civil rights passed. We ought to remember that, yes, in fact, it was Lincoln who signed the Emancipation Proclamation. I know there's a whole lot of talk about exactly what he did or how he did it, why he did it, et cetera, but that's fine. The fact of the matter is both parties have done good, both parties have done bad. So I am not the person who's going to just look at a party and say, oh, this party is evil. No. In fact, if the Democratic Party became a party, it morphed into a bad party, and the Republican Party redeemed itself and become that party that was really looking out for the American people, I would immediately switch parties. For me, it's not about parties. It's about people. It's about loving people. It's about doing what's best for people. And I think for all of us, ultimately speaking, I think deep in our hearts, tradition aside, that is where we ought to land, if not landing right now. And I think for those of us progressives who know that history is on our side, who are absolutely sure that history is on our side, we shouldn't be asking Republicans necessarily to change parties. We should be asking Republicans to adopt their values. We should be asking Republicans to remember it's all about individual human values and not party. I understand keenly. Texas, for a very long time, has always been a conservative state with the people who vote. But the people who vote used to be, as conservative as they were, used to be Democrats. These same Democrats have changed allegiance to a party when they associated progressivism or full progressive values with Democrats and conservative values with Republicans. And in doing so, they are steadfastly voting against their own interests Again, because of culture, ideology, and thinking that Republican means something. My job now is not converting Republicans into Democrats. That's not my job. I'm a loyal, at this point in my life, I am a personally, even as an activist journalist, blogger, I am a loyal party Democrat. I am also a loyal left-winger, of the Bernie Sanders type. But at the same time, I do not want to lose my Republican brothers and sisters, because I tell you what, all of us serve a purpose. We serve and we have to have opposing ideas to have the best ideas. In order for me to have, for my progressive ideas to be as best as possible, I need that person on the right that's going to challenge every piece that I've written, every piece that I've done. And this goes for politicians as well. We need somebody out there challenging it. And sometimes those challenges are going to be right. You know, sometimes they are really going to be right. So if we want to be honest brokers, if we want to be honest honest in our values, that is what we ought to strive for. Our first goal should not be converting folks from their parties. It should be converting. It's for letting folks accept and abide by their human values and what is best for their societies at large. And the funny thing about it is, for the vast majority of Americans, and hear me out, folks, here's a fact. 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 80%. That means 80% of Americans should want, even if they don't know for sure, one would think that 80% of Americans would want policies that is going to give them a hand. When I say give them a hand, I didn't say give them a handout, but give them a hand because their condition, the vast majority of them, the condition of vast majority of them was not created by their laziness. It was not created by something they did. It was created by the extractive economy we have. And that is something that if we can get into people's heads, you know, I would love to get me like I have told folks this a whole lot of times, right? I've told them that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and get a GoFundMe to buy a little van that has politics done right on it. And this van, I'm going to go to every state, but I'm going to spend a lot of time in Appalachia and talking to folks. Just think about me, somebody that looks like me jumping out to Appalachia with a politics done right thing there with a sign that says, whenever we unite Appalachia, the ghettos and the barrios, we would have won. Right? And by the way, that's not utopia that I'm thinking, and that's not what I'm trying to say here is, and I'll do it safely, of course. I'll make sure that I'm safe when I'm doing that. But the mere fact that somebody is going to take that interest to go around and do something like that, to say, hey, we have to make this change, and we can't allow them to frame it for us. We can allow them to do it because they are the ones that created the issues. They're the ones that created the problems. Anyhow, folks, I just want to tell you now that guess what? We're not only streaming on Facebook Live, we're streaming at the same time on YouTube, and we're streaming on Periscope. Also, that's the Periscope is the Twitter version of, I guess, Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Okay, it may sound weird, but our country needs help right now with the entire political party system. Republicans have been projecting for decades. In other words, the things they accuse Democrats of doing is precisely the things their leaders and politicians are doing. It's called projection. You know, when somebody is telling you that you've done something, but in reality, it's not you who've done something. It is they who have done it, but they are going to project it onto you. Socialism. It is they who promote corporate socialism. They who are the ones who just give the monies, that take the monies out of the coffers that we all put into and give it to a few. That is socialism. But that is a vile form of socialism where you're given to those who don't need. Some simply call it fascism, but it is corporate socialism, corporate socialism. That's what it is. We have to call it out. That's what it is. What they've done is they complain, oh, we're not going to give money to that guy on the street who could get a job. It's best if we give that guy who could get a job but doesn't want to get a job. It's better if we give him a basic income, because he's going to take that basic income and spend it with the local store, and that local store is going to spend that money that bomb got from basic income, and he's going to circulate that into an economy. But instead, if you give that same corporate welfare to the rich guy, which actually these guys get even more. If you calculate the corporate welfare compared to the real welfare of that 10% of Americans, if you look in the aggregate or whatever that number is, you will see they get a lot of more money. But here's the deal, my dear friends. The money they get isn't immediately placed into circulation. If you have 20 bombs on the street, as much as it hurts you to give that money to somebody who simply doesn't want to work, intrinsically within the heart, you're like, man, that guy could be working. Why are we giving him a basic income for? He could be working. When you look at it that way, it is sad, right? Because we teach a work ethic in this country, in any country. We teach a work ethic. It just doesn't stick for most, or not, for a very slight few. So we have a thing with just giving money to somebody for nothing, right? But when you look at it from a mathematical standpoint, simply a mathematical standpoint, it's better to give that basic income to that bum on the street than to go ahead and give that huge basic income, that huge tax break to the millionaires, to the billionaires, who are going to likely take that money and invest it out of the country somewhere where it'll have no effect on your personal economy or your state economy or your country's economy. Sometimes reality doesn't seem fair. Sometimes reality doesn't seem like something you want to do. But when you look at the repercussions of why things are done, it really starts to make sense. Second item, right? Unpatriotic. They love to talk about Democrats being unpatriotic, and they like to put their right hands on their chest and the lapel with the flags and all these things, and they don't want anybody who burns a flag out of protest. They want to kill them. Somebody who kneels saying, you know what? You guys have hurt me. You guys have created bad things. Your cops have killed me. Legal, legitimate protest. They want to call you unpatriotic, unpatriotic. But then it turns out it is they who, like Donald Trump and Michael Flynn, or Flynn, have sold out the country for personal gain. Flynn went ahead, and after he criticized the government altogether of Turkey, they offered him $500,000 or more, and he said, okay, I'll go against my country, and I'll find a way to turn over that Turkish guy to you. And God knows what else he did from a national standpoint, right? What I'm trying to say, folks, is projection is an interesting thing, because what these guys are very good at is projecting. All the things that they've been accusing Democrats of, slowly and surely, it is they who, whereas they do it, whereas when they talk about Democrats do X, Y, and Z, somehow they never have proof. But here, Democrats do. They have the confession from Flynn. They have all the paperwork from Michael Cohen and the voicemails and everything from Cohen. They have all the backup information to show that these guys are unpatriotic and treasonous. These Republicans are unpatriotic and treasonous. Yet they always accuse us of that, right? Projection. And that is what we have to remember, folks. For those who are listening on other channels, folks, please remember, give us a call at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Consider calling in and saying your piece. Remember, you're on Facebook Live, you are on YouTube Live, you're also on Periscope, and a couple more you'll be on when the new year starts. We have some great things that are going to be happening for the New Year's, and that's why we continue to need your support. We continue to need your support, folks. So they accuse us of socialism. We prove that wrong. They accuse us of being unpatriotic. We prove that wrong. What else do they accuse us of again? Voter fraud. Oh, you Democrats are full of voter fraud. Well, it is they who are found most times to participate in organized voter fraud through two big methods that they use. Voter suppression, as was done in Atlanta, as was done in Florida, as was done in Wisconsin, as was done in Iowa. All these places, voter suppression. But it's not only voter suppressions, my brothers and my sisters. It is also legitimate fraud. What occurred in South Carolina? Was it South Carolina or North Carolina? One of the Carolinas, where this guy was going around taking up the mail-in ballots and filling it out himself and turning it in for the Republican candidate. That is voter fraud. Tell me the last time you found any Democrat doing that. Look, I'm not trying to make it seem like Democrats are without fault. Democrats have a lot of faults. But what I'm trying to say right now, right this very minute, is if we look at all the things that Republicans are accusing Democrats of, they are the ones who have provably done it. Socialism, that was Donald Trump's Trump card. The tax cut scam was socialism on steroids for corporations and wealthy people. That was a classic definition. I mean, socialism was also what occurred in 2008. The bailout that went directly to the corporate sector, but very little went to the private individual who lost their home and everything else. Right? Let's be honest. Let's understand what is occurring here, my brothers and sisters. And then, of course, there is voter fraud. And it's interesting here in Texas, whenever they find somebody kind of committing some kind of voter fraud, almost all of the times it is somebody on the right who's going to vote or something of that sort. Every now and then you'll find somebody like a felon trying to vote, or in this case, a woman didn't know that she couldn't vote after coming out of jail, and, well, she got 5 years in jail. Michael Flynn is going to likely walk after committing treason. Yeah. After committing treason, Flynn may actually walk. So, it is they who are found most times to participate in organized voter fraud through voter suppression or outright criminality. I am not making this up. My Republican friends, these are facts, and you know it. All of us know it. And I remember, I'm not trying to change you, or I'm not trying to say that somehow you have the panacea on hate or the panacea on any of these things. I've come out on and had my statements on Democrats before, but on this particular issue, there is no false equivalence. The projection by Republicans on Democrats is pathetic, and it's something that it is time that Democrats push back so that the party, a good Republican Party, can be rebuilt. And we want to help you. I'm suggesting that Democrats help you by first aiding those Republicans who left the party, helping them to put the dagger in the heart of the current Republican Party, which is severely diseased. And until it is taken out of its misery, so that the good Republicans, people I completely disagree with, can come and we start back to have the discussions we need to have to make a better country. That is what we need. So how do we do that? How exactly? But before that, I want to give you a little errata here, not an errata, but an update about the healthcare law. A Republican judge opinion claiming that, and this is from Think Progress, A Republican judge's opinion claiming that the entire Affordable Care Act must be struck down is so poorly reasoned that even the Cato Institute, one of those folks, one of those institutions I always talk to you about when I talk to you about the Powell Manifesto, one of those institutions that try to make reality, fallacy look like reality. Even the Cato Institute, which was originally known as the Charles Koch Foundation, tried and failed to convince the Supreme Court to strike down the key provisions of Obamacare in 2012. The conservative think tank's health policy director, Michael Cannon, was one of the architects of King versus Burwell, the last political lawsuit asking the court to undercut the law, and they didn't. Okay, so folks, before I go to the blog of the week or anything like that, the blog of the week isn't mine. It's written by John Young, who is a reporter, old-time reporter from Waco, and but I'll talk about that later. But before I do that, well, no, I tell you what. Let's do that first. Then I'll play the Chuck Schumer video that now is going to hit on our Democratic leadership. But right now, what I want to do is I want to say, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, it's time for the weekly blog post. And folks, if you want to give us a call and say your piece, please remember, give us a call at 646-716-5812. Again, that is 646-716-5812. And it seems like I pulled up the wrong blog because it seems like I have the wrong blog linked in the show. So what I'm going to do as I look for it is just tell you guys that coming up in 2019, we're going to have some great changes. Other than multi-streaming to several different sites, we're going to, and other than just doing our daily or 5 days a week Politics Done Right, we're going to have a few times a month where our subscribers, those who subscribe to Politics Done Right, can simply sit back in front of a camera and their computer, and we go into an application called Zoom, which we're going to pay for to have multiple people come in there and just shoot the bull and decide, have an issue. I don't exactly know how I'm going to do it. I may start with an issue and then say, come on in, let's discuss the issue. But just like I say in this program, if the program is going somewhere and you want to change the direction of the program and you have something that you know is worth discussing, give us a call and say, hey, Berto, queremos hablar de esto. We want to speak about this. We want to talk about this. And we will do just that. Because, folks, the intent of Politics Done Right is to speak with you, to speak to you, and to know that it is your show, and to know that this is one platform. This is one platform that's going to be bidirectional. In other words, you listen to MSNBC and everything that talking head has to tell you, and you just take it. You listen to Politics Done Right. Whether you agree or not, you can call in and you can say, you know, Egberto, I completely disagree. Just like the guy called in on Politics Done Right at KPFT 90.1 FM Houston last week, and when I was talking about the fireman thing, he said, Egberto, I'm sorry, but I disagree with you. And we went back and forth and we came to some sort of a resolution. That is the new media. That is what we ought to do. That is how everybody feel that they have skin in the game, that they're in it. As a subscriber, we want you to be even more in it. As a subscriber, we're going to have you doing some other things as well. But anyhow, this is what John Young said he had. He says, Mr. President, how do you spell crock? Continuing. Similarities between Watergate and the slime storm swirling around Donald Trump continue to stack up. It was there in the December 10 tweet from the misspeller-in-chief, no smoking gun, no collusion. Highly reminiscent this is of Richard Nixon, November 17, 1973 claim, I am not a crock, meaning I'm not a crook. Okay, let's not defame the dead. Nixon was a crook, but at least he could spell the word. Yes, the Watergate parallels are staggering, starting with respective break-ins to steal from the Democratic National Committee, one with screwdrivers, one with Russian hackers. Then, there were fire-ins and intimidation to thwart a criminal investigation, although Nixon never went around intimating pardons for those who didn't sing to prosecutors. Then there were the lies. Oh, and the supporters who didn't want to hear the truth. Sounds familiar? One who listened intently during the Watergate episode heard Nixon supporters in full throat for a time, ultimately resigned to mumbling about plots by liberals and, of course, the cursed media. Senator Orrin Hatch most assuredly was one then. Now he makes a reprise in his depiction of blind loyalty. The Democrats will do anything to hurt this president, he told a CNN interviewer. When the interviewer pointed out that the Democrats aren't behind the criminal probes bearing down on Trump, Hatch said, "Okay, but I don't care. All I can say is he's doing a good job as president." Mumble, 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 mumble. Hatch speaks for many, of course. I'm going to ask those Americans if it was they of whom Trump was speaking when he said he could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not lose their support. And to that, I asked my Republican brothers and sisters, when is the change going to come? Many of you have changed already. I've spoken to so many of you that have changed. But I still think, to say that 30% of Americans are stuck with Trump or they just can't, they'll always be with him. I cannot have that little faith in those 30%. Continuing. Those people today are saying that a man who worked for Trump for 10 years, Michael Cohen, doesn't know what he's talking about when letting us know that Trump knows and does what Trump knows and does. No collusion, says Trump. Nothing at the Trump organization was ever done unless it was run through me, Mr. Trump, said Cohen. Believe him. Believe him. Nothing, and Trump said it, nothing at Trump ever went through without Trump knowing. He said that all of the time. So therefore, we have to believe that everything that happened at Trump Tower, Trump was party up. That could include the Trump Tower meeting with the Russians. That would include Michael Flynn's pre-election promise to ease sanctions on Russia. That would include non-traceable hush money and catch and kill arrangements with a tabloid. As with Watergate, we even have tapes to affirm some suspicions. Yet, the rationalizations, echoes of Nixon's supporter, grumbles continue. How foolish Nixon's spokesperson looked in hindsight. Ron Ziegler classifying Watergate as a third-rate burglary, and the Washington Post of trying to stretch the burglary beyond what it is. Yes, the enemy of the people. Truth. Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Kellyanne Conway, the disinformation sisters, have lined themselves up to be remembered in history books in ways they don't desire. Now Trump-aligned observers wonder, how can they do it? Good question. But the same question applies to all Americans who recite the Hatch oath each morning in the bathroom mirror. I don't care. He's doing a good job. I don't care. He's doing a good job. Recession in January, folks. Let me pause for 1 second. For those who are listening now, folks, please do remember to share this program on your Twitter, your Tumblr, your feed, your Facebook wall. It is so important for us to get truth out. It's so important for us to get messages deeper than what you're going to get necessarily on mainstream talk TV or talk radio. But here's the deal, folks. I want to tell you that this is important. If you're an investor, you need to know this now. Home mortgages, or rather, home sales gone down 2% in November, 6% from the 2% in December, but it doesn't end there. Remember what caused the crash in 2008? The market locked up. What do we mean by the market locked up? Nobody could get credit. The credit sources dried up. Guess what happened in the first 18 days of, 17 days, I don't know about 18, 17 days of January. Nobody was buying those high yield bonds. Nobody, none sold. That's how you see credit starting to dry up. Loss of faith in what's to come. The market, they're playing with you. The market is nothing but legalized gambling, and I think I've gone through that a whole lot of times before. The market is nothing more than legalized gambling. Nothing more. It's not based on reality. They'll talk about EBITDA and yield and earnings to yield ratios and earning to caps, all that kind of stuff, right? All of that is meaningless when the panic hits. It's meaningless. The true value of a company is the total of all its assets. and whatever it can sell its intellectual property for, nothing more. And when you compare the stock prices to that, you'll see that it's orders of magnitude greater, and you're only living a dream. You're only living a dream. Now, people make millions and billions, and that millions and billions are, yes, dreams realized because you took it out in time. If you don't, you lose. So I am not here to give financial advice. I'm just here to talk. I want to tell you what I heard this morning from Tom Hartman. And Tom Hartman has a strong belief, or it wasn't Tom Hartman. There's a big study at, I think, Yale University, not a conference at Yale University that Tom was talking about this morning, that about 50% of all the CEOs that were out there thought that there would be a recession beginning in January. I think it was 80% of them believed that we're going into rough times. I've always wondered what was holding the stock market up in the first place. I have no idea what is. I know business. I had my own software company, still have it. It's just streaming down as I do this full time. And I tell you, I understand papers very well. I understand economies very well. And I don't know what this economy is based on. I honestly don't know what this economy is based on. Euphoria can only take you so far. But continuing with our thing. Non-Trump aligned observers, or rather, the reason we got off onto this tangent is because we heard this. Good question. But the same question applies to all Americans who recite the Hatch Oath each morning in the bathroom mirror. I don't care. He's doing a good job. He's doing a good job, eh? Or are you going to say he's doing a good job when the crash comes in a few? When it comes to lying, Trump is proving Nixon to be a piker indeed. He is executing a master strategy in which he makes falsehoods so plentiful as to cause minds to shut down. And that is what Trump is so good at doing. He lies so much. He has so many things up in the air. There are so many things that you need to attack. You can't pick one. And because you can't pick one, many times you pick none. Or you pick many, and the many dilute the story. Textbook Trump explains a Washington Post commentary. Tell one version of events until it falls apart, then tell a new version, and so on until the danger passes. Textbook Trump. Fortunately for the country, the brain shutdown effect has not impaired Robert Mueller's team or the federal investigators in New York's Southern District. It's staggering. We now have investigations into Trump's campaign, his transition team, his foundation, inaugural committee, and his presidency. To be exact, over 17. Hear that. Over 17 different investigations. Is that nuts? Is that nuts? And as Don Jr. knows full well, if he lied to Congress, what are the odds? Likely. And the president's family to the list. Add the president family to the list. Again, Senator Hatch, the Democrats in Congress have had no hand in this. They will be in a position to lend a hand sooner, however. So goes the blog of the week. But folks, what am I trying to say here? The title of the show, of course, you know what the title was? The title of the show was it's time for Democrats to rebuild the the Republican Party, meaning really we have to help these folks get out of this morass that they're in so that we can really have an opponent of ideas. And to do that, we have to first put the dagger in the heart. I don't want that is not to sound violent, but it's what has to be done. We have to fully expose, like I said, we have to fully expose the projection. We have to fully expose the hypocrisy. And we have to hit them very, very, very hard. The next time they say, lock her up, we must unload. We have to unload. Cohen in jail, Cohen in jail, Bonatob in jail, Michael and all these guys that are sentenced. What is the name of the his past campaign manager in jail. Come on. And we have to hit them all up. The person who said lock her up at the convention is a traitor. Michael Flynn is a traitor. So says the judge today. He didn't call him a traitor, but he said he did so wrong to America. We have to hammer that in. We have to make it that they are so timid to go on TV and ever criticize a Democrat again. Because what you're going to say, as you have to, the good thing about projection is when you project, normally you're not projecting about one thing. You can get a whole list of things. When they hit you and say, we need to protect stuff from voting, you go out there and say, and make them know. The only folks right now in this near term that's been found doing fraud is you, and this is it, A, B, C, and you knock it out of the park, and you keep going, and you don't give them a chance to respond as you keep telling them one item after the other what they are responsible for doing for those attacks that they're putting out there. And when they come with anything else, voter fraud, ha-ha, socialism, ha-ha, and you let them have it. You be ready to let them know that you are smart enough to know that 65% of the tax cut went to the top 1%. You are smart enough to know that only 35% went to everybody else. And you have to know that less than 2% went to the bottom 20%. The people who vote for them. And then we have to be able to talk to Appalachia. All those places in Appalachia that are going to be affected by what Trump is doing, we have to be out there. The mercury, the change in the law, in the regulations right now are affecting your stream. You see that stream there? You will now have mercury in that stream from that carbon ash. We have to be ready on the attack. We have to close them down so that as soon as they open their mouth, we can give them the stuff and we can have. And it's not about fact-based, right? Let me give an example. We're in Appalachia right now, and some Republican says, we vote for us because we went ahead and cut regulations, and that my opponent wants to raise regulation. And at that point, you are on the ready. No, sir. No, sir. Your opponent said you are unworthy to have clean water. Your opponent says you are unworthy to live. Your opponent said it is okay to make that coal miner rich, that power plant rich on your back. Because you see that stream that is flowing down whatever avenue in your community, that stream now has mercury. Guess where? Guess why? Because your congressman voted for regulations even as we begged him. We cared about you. We wanted to make sure that the water you drank was going to be okay. We wanted to make sure that the property values of your home wouldn't fall because we are dumping mercury into your stream. We are the ones who care for you. He tells you he's going to drop regulations, but how did that help you? How did that help you? We have to not only give the facts, we have to narrate how it works with you. We have to tell them how it affects them in a manner. Your child will be drinking mercury because of the regulation for the man you voted for the last time. So then who is poisoning your kid? Who is making sure that your kid's education is going to be stunted, that your kid's brain is going to be stunted because there's less regulation on lead? Who? We have to first know the facts, personalize the discussion on how these things are going to affect these individuals in Appalachia, these individuals in the ghettos, these individuals in the barrios. And then we show them we need this coalition because this coalition is what's going to make life better for all of us. Are you living paycheck to paycheck? But these are the guys who said you don't deserve a raise. Oh, well, they said that if we get a raise, we are going to lose our jobs. They're trying to pit you against the other worker while they take home the spoils. The money they don't give you, they don't put it in a coffer and help somebody else. They take it home. So they're saying, if we give you a raise, we'll have to lay off that person. But if we don't give you a raise, we don't give you a raise, but we still make more money and we keep it. We have to tell the story, not just fight for 15. We have to tell the story as to fight for your life. Fight for your kids. A fight for 15 isn't just fighting for a living wage. A fight for 15 is fighting for survival. We have to get the narrative right. And my brothers and my sisters online, I'm coming to you now. Okay, let's see what we have here. Welcome aboard, Michael Rudnin. Michael Rudnin says, hi all. No, Kathleen says, hi all from windy Situate, Massachusetts. And then, of course, there is Michael Dean Newton. Hello, my brother. I hope you're doing well. I hope your health is well. I think, Michael, you are the guy from England that's moved over here and saw how lousy our healthcare system is. If that's the case, just give me a check mark or something like that. Michael Rudnin want to talk about ideas and climate change. Republicans are slow to change, but when they do, they are usually serious about it. That is very true. Nearly 2/3 of Republicans, 64% now think climate change is happening, compared to 49% 3 years ago, and more of the general population, 78%, compared to 70% 3 years ago. The problem with that, Brother Rednin, is that the Republicans don't care what their constituents say, right? They believe no matter what they do, their constituents is going to vote for them. So they form policy for the wealthy. So they don't care about climate change. They'll destroy the climate because the wealthy folks can live on a mountain, can live in a building that cannot be destroyed or hard to destroy. And later on just rebuild. And then they'll start, after the climate gets bad enough, they'll start investing in technology that suck the carbon out of the air and keep it frozen somewhere or whatever, right? So I just want folks to understand how the system works. YouTube stream, great. Hope you're getting some ad revenues from that. Actually, I'm not. I've given up on, I have ads on my website and other places, but I've given up on ad. The ad revenue for progressive shows and small publishers like us is next to nil, and that is by design. Whereas we could have this entire program without asking anybody to be subscribers. We can't do it now. We have to have subscribers because the ads, the pennies that come in from the ads aren't really worth it at all. Okay, Michael Rudnin, do you really want to talk about super patriots? Click. I got to check that out later. Michael, do you know if I read everything that you find, which are great articles, I'd be in trouble. I read some of them when I get a chance. I don't get a chance to read all of them, but I really want to thank you for the work that you put in finding a whole lot of these great articles. Okay, Michael Dean Newton, Max Headroom. Okay, Party of Law and Order. Give me a break, Michael. You know that. Okay, let's see what else here. Okay, I think that is the end of it, and we're coming close to the end of the show. Actually, we have another 7 minutes or so. So if you have anything else to add, or if you want to call 646-716-5812, give us a call. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I wish more of you. I know some of you probably just listen on the job and you can't really get by and doing calls and that sort of stuff. I understand. Trust me, I do. But it would be nice if you did call. Anyhow, folks, I need to go ahead and give you my pitch and what we're doing going forward. So what I want to ask you is something that is simple. Please, please, please consider subscribing to Politics Done Right. It is very, very important to subscribe to Politics Done Right. There's a lot that we do. We don't only sit behind a camera and talk. Politics Done Right goes out. If you take a look, we've done things like the interview of, maybe I'll give you that as a bonus, the interview of Ocasio-Cortez. Did I ever show you guys? Let me see if I have that video to show you us interviewing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Vamos a ver si lo tengo aquí. I don't know if I recued that or not. If I do that, I'll give that as a treat since I'm a bit early on the program. And here is a treat for you today. This was, I prognosticated that this woman was going to win. I thought as much when I just listened to her, and I just knew she had what it takes. So check out Ocasio-Cortez. Bear with me 1 second as I cue this up. This is the interview I did with Ocasio-Cortez when she just got into the race, and check it out.
All right, folks, we're going to be talking to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's running for
United States Congress from the Bronx and Queens, New York District 14.
Right, so we're going to start our official interview right this minute. Listen, we're here with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is doing something that we progressives have been telling folks to do for a very long time. We want to have somebody running in every district, and if there are Democrats that are not progressive enough, we want them covered as well. And who do we present today? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Tell us something about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm a working American running for Congress. So I'm from the Bronx. I'm the third generation Bronxite. My father was born in the Bronx. My grandmother came to the Bronx from Puerto Rico, and we experienced the effects of having your zip code affect your economic destiny from a very young age. And so that influenced me from from early on. And I never really saw myself running for office until a brand new Congress reached out to me after going to Flint and Standing Rock and doing work in early childhood education in the Bronx. And
now, you were doing all this work before you even thought about being a politician.
Yeah.
So community service had been a part of your life.
Yeah.
So community organizing has been part of your life. So tell me, what are you going to bring to the people of the Bronx? And speaking to Mike.
Absolutely. We need to advocate, and we need to have the courage to advocate for working class issues, an economy that works for everybody. We need to get money out of politics. I have renounced all corporate funding, all PAC funding, all big money from my campaign. We need to commit to a new deal, rebuild out infrastructure in this country on a platform for renewable energy economy by 2028. We need to end mass incarceration. We need to ensure that people can get access to the vocational and public college that they need, the education that they need and that they would like.
Pay it forward, college, pay it forward. I mean, a lot of times people say we can't be giving away things for free. This is not about free stuff. This is pay it forward education. Now, let me ask you, what do you think, you mentioned earlier that millennials are underrepresented in Congress, and that it is a duty that millennials come out.
Absolutely. Millennials represent 1 out of every 3 voters, and the fact that we do not have proper representation in Congress is a big reason why corporations have been making money off of student loan debt,
right?
Why we have a housing crisis, why we are not prioritizing families. I really do consider myself a family-based candidate.
Right.
And millennials are at the age now in their late 20s, early 30s. They can't have homes. They can't start families. They don't have economic security for their kids, food security for their kids. We need to be represented in Congress advocating for our cohort, and the idea that you're too young to have any sort of important role in this society is wrong.
Actually, it's silly because...
Okay, that just wanted to give you a flavor of talking to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others. You know, we've spoken to several of the governors and the senators, etc., at these different conferences. So those are the things that Politics Done Right's doing. We try to bring in candidates that nobody have heard of, candidates that people have heard of. We do it all, and that requires your subscription. That requires that we get your support for doing the work that is going to be necessary for us to keep the progressive mantra going, if you will. So what I ask you to do is please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, that is Patreon, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. We work for you, not for ads that control what we can say or who we can go after when they do you wrong. We are here for you. Nada más estamos aquí para ustedes. So I ask you to go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright, and support this program. There's a lot coming. I'm going to be sending out a newsletter later on tonight that's going to tell you all the great things that are going to be happening in 2019, because yes, we're getting better. We're going to continue to get better. We're going to continue to do the things necessary to make sure that we continue to support you. This is your show. This is Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, and you know how I close this baby by saying I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.